Okay, so this is round 2 of the Format Library Championship 1. I'm playing Noxjja, aka Jay. He's a player from Duelist Grounds. He pretty much always plays this Reasoning Gate OTK deck with like 2 Visor Shock. So I think that's what he's playing. We'll see. So I'm going to take a different approach probably than normal. Be more aggressive, try to get him below 2,000 life points so he can't play a Dimension Fusion. Okay, so he starts out with Duo. He hits my Storm. I decide to discard Dust because pretty much the only card that he's going to play that I will want to Dust is like either Snatch or Premier or Call. At this point, going second, he's I'm not gonna dust set back row unless it's end phase. So like this back row that's there now, I wouldn't want to dust it going forward because it has a really good chance to be Scapegoat. He plays 3 Scapegoat if he's playing Reasoning Gate. So I kept Mirror Force, Tribe, and Sangan. I'll summon Sangan and attack. Just do a quick 1,000. Whoa, and I guess I walked into a heavy storm. I was like setting more cards than I probably should because I didn't want to get OTK'd. Perhaps I could have played it safe and merely set a book. But he does he pro heavies me turn 2, so that's fun. So I'll book my Sangan just in case he's trying to like Snatch steal it or brain control it and attribute it for Monster Gate. I don't see much reason not to book, especially because I don't think he plays Nobleman of Crossout. So I'll swing again. I didn't want to commit Tribe to the field yet because, even though it would do more damage, it's just kind of burning resources, and I do sort of want to have like one live out in my hand if he drops like some kind of big monster. So I'll poke with Sangan again and do Merchant. So I think a good use of my summon this turn will be to set Merchant. Merchant would also be a light monster if it gets to the grave for this BLS I have. And it has a potential to dump a dark monster with its effect too. So that could just win me the game outright. Jay is complaining in chat about how he can't draw. So I'll start my next turn by flipping Merchant. He hasn't done anything since like turn 2 in terms of setting spells and traps. I think if he had Scapegoat, he probably would have played it by now. And I'm in my main phase and he takes off 1,200 life points. Obviously I haven't actually made my decision yet on what I want to do for this turn. But the fact that he's just like complaining, taking all this damage, taking damage before I even like click the battle phase button. He's clearly actually frustrated, has actually bricked, and that leads me to believe that this set is not Scapegoat. So instead of giving him the chance to top deck out of this and OTK me, I'm going to go for the win right here. I'll discard Duo, which is probably a pretty bad card against Reason Gate right now anyway, to put Sangan in the graveyard. I'll get, Serpent, best value with Sangan to put Merchant in the graveyard. Now I have a light and dark in the graveyard, and I can bring out BLS, swing with Tribe and BLS to attempt game. Even if this failed somehow, I still have a Sakuratsu and Sinister Serpent, so it's not like I'm out of the game. Okay. So he took the damage, I'm guessing, because he drew. Yeah, he was just super frustrated. My side deck. I'll probably side in. Yeah, I don't side threatening roar. I like philosophically am very against using threatening roar against OTKs in goat format in particular. Um, and that's pretty much because there are ways for OTK decks to stop threatening roar. One, and two. A lot of OTK decks use Dimension Fusion, for which if you use Threatening Roar against chaining to Dimension Fusion, you still have to deal with a field of like 5 big monsters, and maybe your opponent got crazy advantage. So I prefer Trap Dust Shoot, because I can disrupt their early game, uh, peek at their hand, and sort of know how to play around their OTK also. I just think it gives me more things to do, gives me better control. I just like it much more as a card. And it's also good for other matchups. So it's like having 3 extra side deck spots by not playing Roar. So I'll side in 3 Dust Shoot. I'm gonna side out Nobleman of Crossout for sure. Because he doesn't set any monsters. Only way Nobleman would work is if he set if I set his monsters with Sook. I think I'll side out Morphing Jar too. I don't want to like give him a fresh hand and dump his cards to the graveyard. It'll just set him up. I don't have any other spells and traps I want to put in. Maybe I'll put in the third book actually. I'd probably take out Dust Tornado because, especially going second here because, just like the first game, he could set a back row and then even if it's goat, I can't hit it end phase with dust. So the dust is kind of, it's got some really narrow uses in this matchup. It's probably just going to be dead more often than not. And I think I brought in 2 legendary Jiu-Jitsu Master also, because they hold up pretty well against his swarms. And they also don't conflict with Scapegoat, like, very much at all. So I'd pretty much always feel good about setting, like, a Jiu-Jitsu plus Scapegoat in this match. So I have a good hand. I start with Pot. I guess maybe I kept Dust, or I kept one of my Dusts and swapped the other one out for a third book. So I'll begin the game not by attacking, but by setting this Merchant Flip Effect monster. So I want to get to some either power spells and traps or something like a Scapegoat sooner rather than later. And I'll set 2 back row behind it. Once again, play very defensive against this guy. All right, so once again, I drew out an early heavy storm. So it's like a 2-for-2 trade, but and it cost him his ring. This is a 2-for-2 trade. But from now on, it's going to be considerably harder for him to OTK me without that storm. So yeah, I call 4 off this reasoning because I'm pretty sure I know Jay's list. I know he plays like 3 Sacred Crane, 2 Visor Shock, 1 Democ. So literally half of his monsters that are eligible for reasoning are level 4. So I'd rather just like stymie him immediately. Worked out in my favor. So Merchant and my draw got me Scapegoat and Ring of Destruction, which is good. I wanted that Scapegoat to prevent some kind of OTK. And Ring is good because it can just do extra damage, get him below 2,000 sooner. And I summoned DD Warrior Lady after playing Yeah, into a clear field, basically. Alright, he gracefuls, discarding Demock. And so this is light and dark. And he discards Royal Decree. So he plays Reasoning again. He just showed, so I know 2 monsters left in his deck are Visor Shock and 2 are Crane. So I'll go for the one that's more dangerous here. Call 5 for Visor Shock. Because Visor Shock would basically bounce my set cards. Okay, yeah, so I got kind of lucky again. Hit the Visor Shock. Can't summon that either. So he's burned like 2 Reasoning without being able to summon. Now he has Prima for Demock, I guess. I'm gonna ask him what he's targeting. It depends. If he's gonna target Demock, I'm not gonna respond. But if he's gonna target Visor Shock, I might respond with my spells and traps. Okay, so yeah, he's targeting Visor, which scares me. I have Ring and Goat. I can't play this Goat yet, but I'm trying to think. Can I use Ring to somehow free up my field so I can Goat? And yeah, I can. I can chain Ring to his Premature Burial activating to destroy my own merchant. So Chainlink 2 would be Ring. It would resolve to destroy merchant. Then Visor Shock would be summoned as part of Chainlink 1. And then Visor Shock would start a new chain, activating its effect to bounce all spells and traps. And by the time it does that, I will only have 1 DD Warrior Lady on the field, and I can chain Scapegoat. So that's what I'm going to do. So I noticed this next turn. He forgot to take the 200 life point damage from Ring that I used on Merchant. And I have a hand of like some pretty good spells and traps. I don't know why I kept knocking. That was bad. Definitely should have taken out Knock for Dust Shoots. Look, maybe I didn't even bring in Dust Shoots. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, so it was a bit of a complicated sequence of chains, but yeah, it's definitely illegal. I can definitely do it in this way. Okay, so you just played Visor. Like, does he have? I don't know if he does. He have? I think if he had Chaos plus Dimension Fusion, he'd just do it right now. And yeah, like, cause why wouldn't you want that with Crane and Demock in your grave? So he has one or the other, not both. Oh, and he had a Jinzo in hand. Didn't even know he ran Jinzo. Might be new to his deck. Alright, so he has Chaos. He has BLS. But no Dimension Fusion. He's banishing DD Warrior Lady. So he has some mystery card in hand. Not sure what it is. Maybe it's another Decree because he discarded one. Although maybe not because he's got it in hand still. So he banishes DD, hits a token. Yeah, I have answers. I can obviously out BLS and Jinzo with like a single snatch or meta. But I would rather do like as much life point damage to him as I possibly can. So if he top decks Dimension Fusion, he can't use it to get back Demok and Sacred Crane, which will give him 2 new cards, could lead to an OTK. So um, I actually want to overextend and do as much damage if I possibly can. So right now I'm definitely calculating like how much damage can I do. The most damage I can do is probably by using Snatch on BLS and summoning Azura, obviously. So you could do Snatch on the BLS, change it to attack mode, double attack, then attack direct with Azura. That is like it's 6 plus 30 plus 17. That's it's 5,300 damage. And remember, he forgot to take the 200 off merchant. So as I'm thinking of this, I'm like, damn, this sucks. I'm off by 200. And then I remember, oh, I rang merchant for 200. Did he take the damage? And I went back and checked the log up here and realized he didn't. So I reminded him, takes the damage, and that's game. So he had return in hand. I think he should have said it even though he had Jinzo out. And he topped Dimension Fusion. So yeah, I'm glad I went for the kill there. Even if I didn't, even if I could only put him to 200 life points and I didn't remember about the merchant, I think I would have still liked to do the play where I do as much damage as possible to put him below permanently out of Dimension Fusion range. What I could have done in that situation would have been I would have had to spend both Snatch and Meta. Wait a second. 53. I would have needed to do like 2,500 to him. Well, I don't know why I'm thinking about this because he needed to take 200 off. But if I could have done anything to put him at 2,000 and end my turn, I would have done it. So like I could have played Snatch on BLS, attacked, and then main phase 2 played Meta on BLS to like prevent him from getting back life points, or like top decking spell trap removal to get his BLS back. That would it would leave me vulnerable to top deck chaos, but I don't think he's gonna kill me in this game just with one top deck chaos. Even though I have like Azura knock, I still have like I would still have like 2 meta left. I would still have Sooks left to knock his whatever chaos. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good approach against a deck like this that relies on Dimension Fusion to be hyper aggressive and get them below 2,000 so they can't pay for Dimension Fusion, because Dimension Fusion is such a huge swing card. It's basically the whole reason why they play this like this engine to this deck. Without that payoff, like there's really not that much they can do to you, except for Chaos Monsters. So if you can out their Chaos Monsters and put them below 2,000, you just win. All right, so that was round 2. That was like the quickest round ever. So I'm 2-0. On to round 3.